fantastic. This is GT racing right now.
He's got traction, he's got rhythm, both of them! Maloney!
Oh, he's taken Anderson! Anderson's up top!
Oh my god! Oh! Big crash! Oh my goodness, half the field's gonna get rolled!
Sec's very close. These guys are want to make their way through the field very quickly.
Oh, there we go!
Oh no! That's massive! This is it! This is over! I can't believe this! Oh my god!
God, what?
This is the original esport racing game. This is iRacing.
The road to Elkhart Lake continues as we hit the second half of the season. And from what was a very, very interesting race, which happened right at Daytona Beach in conjunction with the 24-hour that happened and was an absolute spectacle, as always it is, on the iRacing Esports Network, we now head back over to Europe. It's sunny, sunny sun here in Catalunya. And of course, when you find yourself around Barcelona, you know that this is going to be a very big track to race. It's the historic layout. It's the 95 to 05 layout, I think is going to be the numbers that are going to be correct. I'm not quite sure on that. But here on the iRacing Esports Network, we know it's going to be great racing throughout either way. Jake Sperry here in the commentary box, joined as ever by David Sanford here alongside. And well, David, we got to talk about this track. This is a tyre killer here today. It may only be 15 laps, but the rears are going to be the ones that pay the biggest price today.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. Here at Catalunya, we've got these big, long, sweeping corners that are almost the entire traction zone comes from the start of the corner to the end of the corner, and it's just going to burn everything up as these little, what are they, about 4 meter long cars just try and fire themselves and find some rotation with their tires. But that's probably going to be the story of the day: is who can last the longest with their tires.
Well, who can last the longest? Championship standings, no drop rounds used. Up on screen, Alexander Thebe on top of that at the moment for Team Redline, 2,100 points, 40-point lead over Sindro Setzel's Christopher Dambeats finds himself in third. Dambeats has been putting in great performances when we haven't been keeping an eye out on him during these broadcasts. Josh Anderson has gone quickest though, and he's gone quickest by a fair mile, 0.3 of a second faster than Maran Cholak, and he'll be very happy with that, with Gianni Vecchio only able to go into 8th place at the moment. And because this track is so high wear, we are only expecting maybe 1 lap to come through as Kim Eriksson moves up into 6th position. I'll be happy with that time. Castrolado going on to start his second lap. He abandoned his first one as he looked to try and make sure everything worked out for him. But it is very important to say this. This track is different to quite a few others. If you look at the track temps, they're pretty average. 27 degrees here today, 26 from the clouds. I'd say these are ideal conditions to race today.
Yeah, sometimes in the iRacing service, these 27 tracks, it's almost like you don't get the OP grip, but you don't get the whole skiddy feeling that you get when you get to those hot temps. 26, 27, in my experience, has been the nicest temperature to drive in. And just before, Joshua W. Anderson, that is an awesome lap. He literally has 0.299 on P2 in a 7.7k soft, or is it 7.8, Sperry? I'm not too sure.
I think we're hitting 7,800 pretty much as Ricardo Castrolado makes his way up through some very good times as well. You've got Peter Berryman as well, who is not so he will have to go from the back. But there is still Ricardo Castrolado on the run to Lekaixa, which is not going to be the sharp left. It's going to be the longer, elongated left-hander. You hit the brake slightly later. You try and pitch for the early apex, and then the corner just falls away from you. up the hill as you try and attack as you head now back into the right, which comes along a lot more difficult to right. It means that that section of the track is a lot more easier to be a transfer. Now you've got these very quick two right-handers. My memories of this, Valentino Rossi, Jorge Lorenzo, final corner of MotoGP. That's the sort of element that those rights definitely have the ability to do. Here comes Castro-Lado over the line looking for a time. It's a 43.991. It's good enough for the second row.
Yeah, that's a pretty good little time considering he aborted his first lap Sperry, so his tyres would have been a little bit warm after his big burnouts and all that jazz that they do. So putting in that P3 for Ricardo Castro-Lado as the qualifying's rounding up here.
Yep, it absolutely is. So let's get ourselves a look at the grid. It will be Josh Anderson for the Logitech G Altus Esports team on the pole. Marin Cholak alongside him. Then Ricardo Castro-Lado third. Alexander Thieb, the championship leader, going from fourth. Sindre Setsource in fifth. And Mac Backham alongside in sixth. He had a poor Daytona. Kim Eriksson goes from seventh with Matti Sawyer in eighth place. Jeff Giassi starts ninth. And it's Christopher Danbeats who rounds out the top 10.
Coming in the sixth row, Gianni Vecchio for Team Redline. He's number 11. Ivo Howler in P12 tonight. Johan Harth comes in at 13th, and Joni Takinen in 14th. Alexander Laritton for Logitech G Altus Esports in 15th, and Daniel Lafuente in 16th tonight. Yao Vaz in 17th, Carl Janssen in 18th, and Peter Berryman not registering a lap, unfortunately getting a 1x each time. He is in 19th in row 10.
And he wasn't quite sure, Peter Berryman was, where he picked those up. He wasn't very happy about finding himself at the back of the field. He wants to try and push forward, not necessarily for racing really quickly and getting himself into championship contention, but more rather to try and get those points, try and help his iRating out, to help his safety rating out, and to say, well, this is what I could have been capable of doing. Very late for these drivers to get themselves on the grid. They've got 2 minutes, and for the longest time, it was Carl Janssen in the core sim racing car who was on the grid for the longest. Those tyre temperatures do cool as they look to try and get themselves up onto the grid. So they've got to make sure that they are leaving it probably as late as they can, give themselves a bit of a buffer. 30 seconds now remains, and it's crucial to note cars on the outside, so those are the odd numbered cars, they'd have the advantage off the start. They've got the grip, they've got the racing line, but those on the inside do have that run to turn number one. It is a right-hand corner that they go through first, clockwise circuit, so maybe they might have a bit of an advantage. But 15 laps, they go by so very, very quickly in the Porsche iRacing Cup, these Porsche Esports Supercup qualifiers, and 2 minutes is going to come up pretty quickly. The lights procedure will soon start, and we will soon get ourselves ready for racing action. Who's going to announce themselves for the second half of the season as the drive to beat? There's the green flag, and let's get ourselves going. It's a slow start from Setzel, slow start from Anderson. Here comes Cholak, looking for it. Castro-Lado makes it 3 wide, and maybe Alexander Thieb might make it 4 for Team Redline. He's trying every which way to look to try and get through. Cholak, though, has the run at the moment. Run down into turn number 1. 3 wide they go. Are they going to all get nice and tight through this section? Yes, they are. Cholak leads. It's Anderson second. Thieb makes the mistake. He drops 2 positions. Here's the third. The Kim Eriksson round the outside of turn number 3. They go through. It's a clean start for the moment. 2 Koana cars side by side. 3 wide now as they head to turn 4.
Constantining into 1,
Oh,
2,
no!
3, 4. Oh, he's around. Alexander Thieb's gone. He's just been absolutely spun in a straight line. If we can get a replay of that shortly, we can see what happened as move back to the front. Marin Cholak obviously got that better start than Josh Anderson, and Josh Anderson got absolutely swamped. Like, he went absolutely no.
He went nowhere quick, and Alexander Thieb's done well. He 360'd it, kept it at the barriers, and he's still going towards the rear of the field. He is side by side with Berryman as they all go through the opening few sections of these corners. But you've got to have a look at this on replay. Alexander Thieb running himself into issues. You can see Eriksson's there on the outside. He's worried about Setsource on the inside, and the moment he thinks he's clear, he's got an overlap. Oh no, I'm still there. Kim Eriksson nowhere to go. That has to be put on Thieb as they now all go down on the brakes side by side. It's going to be Sawyer trying to find a way through here. Has he got it done on the positive sim racing car there of Jeff Giassi? Giassi's still got an overlap though into the next right-hander. And has he got the move sorted? No, but it's 2 more rights, 3 rights in a row. Always going to be difficult to hold it around the penultimate corner. It's such a quick section. And finally, Giassi's got his move.
Great move by Giassi. That was absolutely awesome. We're seeing some nice little light flashing from Matiko de Soja back there as he's just lost that spot. Now we go into lap 2 and these tyres aren't quite up to temp yet. We know what it takes to get these tyres up to temp. So running these tyres in to get them there will take maybe 3 or 4 laps before we see anything drastic. But for now we're going to see
Kind of Sawyer going far too deep. You're absolutely right. And then all of a sudden, here comes Gianni, who's going to come through and try and take both of them. Gianni Vecchio in the red line car. I think he's going to try and pick a position or two. Johan Half trying at it. Look at Kind of Sawyer take the uber wide line as they go through in this train. Dan Beats and LaFuente and Janssen. Giassi now fighting side by side with Ivo Howler. And look at this. Noah's up, 2 wide, 3 deep as they go through. This is fantastic stuff. And you've still got Larrington and Berryman and Vaz and Thied all there. This is a bottleneck. Bang! Flying car skittle at the back.
Wow, that's absolutely disastrous for the Logitech man, and Joni Takinen back there as cars just go absolutely everywhere. Our back of the pack starter, Peter Berryman, he's caught in the sand trap too. We can see this replay here, see exactly what happened as you were just talking about it. So Alex Lauritsen's coming through. He's leading this little 3-man pack. What's going on here?
Well,
Peter Berryman's he's put it up to get. Oh, he's just been absolutely rear-ended, Jake.
Yeah, that's Yao Vaz who's missed his braking point there, and he's caused that massive domino effect to go through. We'll go on board with the number 9, the 19th place vehicle at the moment. See, he's looking for his marker. Uh-oh, I haven't got it right, and he's got it from a mile back.
Yes,
you can see he's really struggled to get through. He may have even had more issues. We'll take a look at it from Alexander Thied's perspective. If he had any help from behind, you can see on the brakes they go. Did Alexander Thied get it wrong? Oh, yes, he did. He made the contact as Cholak sets fastest lap. It was Alexander Thied who effectively went for the IndyCar route. That is a push to pass and a half.
Yeah, he's pressed the button for sure. So we can step back. We can stop the domino effect now. Matiko de Soja just getting that pass on Gianni Vecchio pretty nicely up the inside into turn 1. He'll look to take a more of a defensive line as he folds back through. I don't think he'll want to get over-undered. Something that's really cool about these cars is there's not much aerodynamic on them. So that close racing that we see in things like Australian touring cars, as Gianni goes for an absolute lunge and gives him a bit of Morse code on the way past with another, who's that in the Apex car?
That's Jan Half trying to go around the outside as well. So Half gets it far too deep, and off goes Janssen behind as well. So Janssen finds himself in the gravel trap there, down at Elf Corner as it's traditionally been called, and that is turn 5. So he loses a whole heap of times they go through, but that was Half unable to get through a Matikai de Soya position stay as they were. Front 5 though, Cholak, Anderson, Bakken, Castro, Lado, Set Source at the moment. These 5 have not broken away from each other, but crucially enough, we know that Anderson picked up the victory in the split before this one. The race before this one got 350 points in the bank. He wants to get some more points though in the offing. The good news for him though is that maybe with the way that his times have worked, he's been quick over 1 lap pace. It might be for Anderson that he is saving the tyres at this point to make sure he's going to be good in the second half of this one, around lap 12, lap 13.
Yeah, you're probably right, Jake. We spoke about that tyre wear earlier on, something that I was informed by Josh himself. So we can see the time slowly getting faster and faster. So Josh's time in the second lap was a 46.3. Last lap, lap 3, 45.4. That's 0.9 of a second, and that's just tyre wear. The tyres coming up to temp, rather. What are we doing? So Marin Cholak seems to be checking out just a little bit with Mac Beckham right on toe. Mac Beckham was actually out of action last week at Daytona, so it's good to see him back. But we can see here Johan Hart and Gianni Vecchio and Matiko de Soja, they're still going away with some damn beats right behind them. So there seems to be sort of 3 or 4 little battle packs going on as the field spread 21 seconds now after that big accident.
Yeah, huge accident, and if by out of action you mean Matt Backham was upside down at Daytona, you'd be absolutely right. So they go through and look to try and keep going through. It's fine, it's the first time. But you got the likes of Gianni Vecchio still under pressure from Kaida Sawyer and co at the moment. But keep an eye on LaFuente and co. But there is a replay here up on screen brought to you by Motum Simulations. It's Alexander Thied again here for Team Redline. He tends to make overtakes when people aren't looking, but he's been very much a topic of conversation today. Danny inside. Oh, bump. as he's gone and got through, and that was Kim Eriksson, who's done very well in the Black Star Racing car. And Deep's gone around, actually, in that situation. He's almost taken Janssen as well. He's been a rolling roadblock today.
Yeah, he hit Janssen on the way past. We'll see on the replay here. So I'm not really sure what kind of flick spin that was from Alexander Thebe. I think he knows a bit better, and he's just absolutely lit it up. That's pretty unfortunate for Janssen just to get pushed off the grass thanks to someone else's mistake. But that's racing, and you know, it is what it is. So moving back to this little battle pack, 6th, 7th, and 8th all in a line. The whole field's still not that far apart. A little mistake up, you know, the front of the pack will just bring this 6, 7, 8 pack straight into the front, I reckon.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, deep on the brakes there. In through turn 1 goes Kaida Sawyer. He will compromise turn 2. And Johan Haaf is not in a position to capitalise through the long tyre killer that is turn number 3. Out on track, then make the run to 4 and hope you've got an angle for the inside. Not going to happen this time around for these drivers. But Gianni Vecchio is running some good lap times. It was a 45 flat last time for him. There are only 3 drivers who are quicker that last lap by than Gianni Vecchio. They were Ricardo Castroledo, Josh Anderson and Maran Cholak. So that pretty much tells you all you need to know. This second pack is on pace with the leaders.
Yeah, Maran Cholak seems to be punching that hole, and as much as this track is sort of a windy, not really a drafty track, there is 2 or 3 big draft zones, and maybe Josh is able to get, you know, 2 tenths down those long straights. That we can see one right now. So Katasoya will be tucked in right behind Gianni Vecchio's draft, and he'll be able to brake a little bit deeper. Something that is an unknown mechanic to some people on iRacing is that I've noticed personally that when you're in the draft, it's easier to brake deeper, and I don't know.
Well, it seems like we've got some good battling then. If you can get in that draft, you can pull it up close, you will have that ability to lunge. It is worth noting Ivo Howler is now behind Daniel Lafuente. The AAA Esports car has moved inside the top 10, and he'll be very happy with a top 10 at the moment. He is also your biggest mover and shaker in the field today, Daniel Lafuente. He's up 6 places, a 19-car grid today. Means we're not seeing too many big moves. One of the other big movers, Gianni Vecchio, he's up 5 places today, as well as Johan Haaf at the moment. Those 2 are going to be picking up some big points if things are to stay as they are at the moment. Gap at the front, though, that's very crucial to keep an eye out on, because they are almost identical. 5 thousandths in the favour of Anderson that last time by. That is hovering at around an 7 to 8 tenths of a second advantage. That means that there's not going to be too much that they're going to do get wrong at this point in time. It is going to mean, though, that they are right on the fringes of, well, I need to be in that draft, because Matt Backham is dropping back. He lost a tenth that last time by.
Yeah, something that we just spoke about was draft, and you're exactly right. So if Mac Backham happens to fall out of favour, you know, maybe 1.1, 1.2 behind these guys, he's not going to be able to benefit from that 2/10 draft down these long straights. Josh W. Anderson and Maran Cholak, however, actually have identical fastest laps in the race. So Maran Cholak seems to be pretty consistent. He's doing 44.8 as his tyres are nicely heated now, and Josh W. Anderson just did a 44.857, which literally matches Maran Cholak. So it's going hand in hand, and I'll be interested to see with 9 laps to go what's going to happen. Is Ando going to push? What's he going to do?
Well, what's he going to need at the moment? Remember, these drivers only need a top 20 to qualify for the Porsche Esports Supercup, and at the moment, you look at someone like Josh Anderson, for example, in the championship. He is in a very nice and dandy position at the moment, in 6th place overall. Someone like, for example, Maran Cholak, outside of the top 10. These points would be vital for him, as I keep an eye on Ricky Castroledo into turn 1. He got a little bit deep as they go through. 1 second, very nearly broken now for Mac Backham. This is an issue for the Dutchman, as he knows he cannot afford to drop outside of that 1 second. The times will fall away. Ivo Howler, though, he's under pressure at the moment for 11th place. Jeff Giassi has put in some monster times to get back in. He did another 45 flat that last time by. He may look for the inside here at turn 4. He sticks a nose up there, but he was never close enough. Good wide line taking then from the experienced Ivo Howler.
Yeah, we can see a replay up. There's been some issues for the core sim racing car of Carl Jensen. Yeah, I know, not again. What's happened this time? He's come into turn one, he's gone a little bit wide on entry and he's just completely missed it. And he'll take the abortion route. And unfortunately, I think that's his day.
Yeah, he realised that there was going to be no real point in fighting onwards after all the issues he had. Maybe he'd racked up too many instant points, 17 for a drive-through, 25 for a DQ. He knows that he needed maybe a little bit more luck as that didn't quite work. Another half look to the inside, though, from Jeff Giassi as he tried to find a way through on Howler, but Howler again leaving room on that outside. He's a little bit tentative at this point, and again, wide line opens the door. He's leaving himself a little bit susceptible here, Howler is, to maybe a dive bomb attempt.
Yeah, it's pretty cool, the series, how it sort of lights up straight through the field, and that's something cool how I spoke about with the Porsche earlier on, is they're so racy, and wherever you go, these guys are pretty evenly matched. Jeff Giassi, though, he's been pumping in some laps. So as we can see on screen, he's nearly matching the leaders, and everyone around him is 1, maybe 2 tenths slower. But we can see the guys up ahead with Matty Soja, Johan Harth, and Christopher Dan Beats. They're just pulling away. They're matching those times. But don't count out Jeff to get maybe 1 or 2 spots.
Well, you can see how frustrating it is at the moment for Giassi. He can't find a way through. He spent a lap looking at the back of Ivo Howler's team Redline car, and at the moment he'll be thinking, oh, Fanatec's would be nice at this point in time, the amount he's seeing the sponsorship go through, but nothing doing, though, for the time being. Another little half look, not quite there. Maybe you've got to go to a place people don't expect, like turn 5, not happening there, though. But keep an eye out, though. Those gaps are pretty much a second at the front between Cholak, Anderson, and Bakum. It's starting to splinter a little bit. And also, you've got to worry if you're Sindre Setsource as well. Any let up of pace, and suddenly he'll be in the thralls of Gianni Vecchio. That gap, only 1.8 seconds. That's not much at all. Vecchio's put in some very, very good laps as we hit the halfway stage. This race just already gone through. We're now gearing up towards the final third and the end of what has been very much a tactics race and a case of can I break your spirit style of race.
Yeah, that's exactly right. So we can probably look through the field, and I'm not too sure this far into the season, a lot of the points have kind of settled down. So unless they're sitting out of it, there's guys like Josh Anderson, Mac Backham, they've almost secured their spots into the Porsche Esports Supercup. So you can see Josh is just maybe cruising, he's getting his points. Yeah, he got 350 earlier on. This off is bigger. He's in a higher spot than he was this morning, where he got 4th place. He's now in 2nd in a 7.8k. So he's probably maybe going to get 360, 370, something like that. But coming down into turn 1, this little battle pack for 6th, 7th, 8th, and 9th now. Christopher Dan Beats has managed to pull his way in here with the 2 red line cars and a sort of a blue and black sandwich there, maybe.
Yeah, very, very true. So Dan Beats now trying to get some points back on the board. Remember, he's 3rd in the championship without drops, so he's looking for a big result at the moment. Is the number 16 driver at the moment. Not quite there in terms of getting the moves done. Half, though, late on the brakes. He's got to be careful as he goes through that section. Very nearly ran into the back there of Kaida Sawyer. It's so easy to do around this track. There's a lot of elevation change, surprising amount of elevation change around this track, because you head up the hill towards this next right of turn number 8 and 9 out on track. You look at every which corner, it's downhill into turn 5. That's what makes Elf Corner so difficult on the brakes.
Yeah, that's right. Something that's quite cool about this track is, yeah, you've got those little places where the apex sort of cambers in, but the corner we just went through, that right-hander sweeper, that's actually almost off camber. It's such a weird corner, and you've got to drag the brake right to the apex and then power on nicely and make sure you don't get an off-track, and there's a slowdown mixed in there if you push too much. But I'm sure these guys know all about that. We can see this battle still pretty much heating up. We've followed it for quite a while. Gianni Vecchio he's looking pretty sharp in here, and he manages, I think he's just pulled maybe 2 or 3 tenths as Matty Soja's maybe had a bit of a slow end of that lap coming through the old classic section.
Yeah, he may have done. Replay up on screen, though, brought to you by Motum Simulations. This is Alexander Larrickson, who's not had a brilliant day. He got caught up in the incident with Alexander. He goes on through into the next right-hander that he is just trying to get himself to run through. Haven't quite seen it just yet, so it might just be an instant. He has a small wiggle here as he goes through, and I think he just says abandon ship. That is my day done. And he says there's not much point racing. I'm not going to gain any more positions. I was dead last in the field. There's not much point in me racing much longer as they go on forward and look to race. Look at the two Coanda cars though. Backham and Castro-Lado are nose to tail at this point in time. Backham's not had a good start to this lap, but all of a sudden Ricardo Castro-Lado's thinking, podium? That might be a nice idea, wouldn't it? A podium maybe here, Sanford?
Yeah, that's right, and maybe we might see some team orders. I'm not too sure what the go is there. So Ricardo Castro-Lado though, he's a racy sort of guy. He knows how to win, that's for sure. He was with Josh Rogers this year in the World Championship GT category for the GT Excellence this year. So the two Coanda cars they're following around is there's been a move. Christopher Dan Beats in the red line car. He's just gone clean up the inside of Johan Hath. They're going to keep fighting though. Johan Hath just put it straight back up the inside, and he'll have the run coming in here. So he's managed to hold on to that. Unfortunately, Christopher Dan Beats found the sand in the end.
Well, you can say that Christopher Danbeats, he had an almighty lunge coming through, but the issue he had was that Hath was always going to be on his inside for the next corner. That's what makes that move so tough. And Danbeats tried it. Didn't quite work. Jeff Giassi, though, he's looking for his move now on Ivo Howler. He spent forever and a year trying to get this move done. He finally gets himself alongside. Is he better on the brakes? You bet he is. Howler lets him have it and now gets put under pressure a little bit differently. Now it will be one Mr. Kim Eriksson trying to get back in and making those moves. Remember, Eriksson is down 6 places at the moment from where he started and wants a little bit more. Run up to turn number 4 is going to be coming up next. Is there going to be any looks down to the inside? No, there is and not through that section. So keep an eye on that. That battle will continue as this goes on. But now you're into the last 3-4 laps. Question becomes here, who's been the best on their tyres? Because if the tyres do drop off a cliff as we expect the rears to do, grip becomes a big issue, and suddenly a tenth becomes 2 tenths, becomes half a second very, very quickly here, Sanford.
Yeah, that's exactly right. So it's just seeing who's actually done the most. We might have seen Mac Backham burn his tyres up, trying to keep up with Josh W. Anderson earlier on, and maybe Josh Anderson's just looked after his tyres with 4 laps to go, but I doubt the calibre of Marin Cholak. Last year he was in the Pro Series for Porsche. I doubt he will somehow lose 2-3 tenths a lap until Josh W. Anderson all of a sudden tries to catch him and gets there just from tyre wear personally, but I don't know, who knows. These guys are pretty smart, especially Josh Anderson. He's just been up to 8k I rating in the last couple of weeks thanks to this series.
Well, that shows you that he's gaining pace and he's beating some of the best in this field as the iRacing system has been absolutely fantastic to see. 4 laps to go, though, here at Barcelona. The gap 1 second and a bit of spare change, 500ths of spare change for Marin Cholak at the moment. For third, though, it is a battle, and they've got to be careful here, Backham and Castro-Lado. Sindre Setsos has not let off the power, so to speak, and on that last lap by, he took 2 tenths of a second out of Backham and Castro-Lado. So Sindre Setsos will try and get that Core Sim racing car, which was effectively top of the world in around 2017, back when Isaac Price and Freddie Rasmussen was at the team. This could be the second revitalization that Core were looking for.
Yeah, that's right. So we were just talking about Sindre before. Mac Backham and Ricardo Castro-Lado are about 3 tenths off the lead, 2 at the moment. But Sindre, he's just 0.1, so he's gained 0.2 in the last lap with 4 laps to go on the circuit. Are we going to see some moves? I'm not too sure. Let's hope so. It'll make for a pretty good commentary team, I reckon. But this battle between Christopher through to Gianni, this is still lighting up. This red line sandwich we've got, and here's that off-camber corner I spoke about just before. And maybe Christopher showing the nose. He just said, Johan, how you going? I'm here. How you been? And he'll look to do it in the next 2 or 3 laps and try and get it in a better spot where he's not pushed to the outside. As we can see, he was coming through here and he was pushed to the outside. It's off camera. There's no grip on that outside with these older tyres.
Yeah, there's no grip with the tyres, and someone who couldn't get a grip down on the brakes was Ricardo Castro-Lado. He went slightly wide, missed his apex at turn number 10. That has not set him up with the run that he wants down the straight. It's 4 tenths of a second, and while Coanda do not run team orders in their machines, what they do know is that they are the ultimate team players when it comes to racing. They know that it is better just to sit and wait and hold formation, and it won't be a decision that's made by management, it'll be a decision made by the drivers themselves. So as to say, it's not team orders at the moment. They will try and do what's best for their team. That is the Coanda way. Same could be said for a Team Redline, but they are not in the right positions at the moment to try and make their chances. Vecchio is looking backwards rather than forwards. The gap to Setzel's now up to 2.5 seconds, but we were talking about how this race is a spirit breaker. Well, Cholak, I think, has just broken the spirit of Anderson. He pulled a 10.5 that last time by over the Logitech G Ultra Esports driver. 1.2 seconds now, 3 laps to go. He's going to have to rely on a mistake from the former ETCC driver.
Yeah, so Marin Cholak not letting up at all. He's going hammer and fist for the last 3 laps of the race, and considering he's been able to burn away from Ando, you know, put that second on him while Ando was in draft, and then keep on going, and his tyres are sweet as by the looks of it. The Altus Esports driver's obviously, you know, up a creek without a paddle, so to say. So we go back to the little red line sandwich we've got here, and Christopher Danbeat seems to have fallen off the pack just a little bit after his big lunge on the Apex Racing team of driver of Johan Harth. And with 2 laps to go, I'm not sure Christopher can catch up unless Johan makes a monumental mistake somewhere along the line.
Well, we'll see if the mistakes are flowing. They have been few and far between for these drivers since the opening couple of laps where we saw the big incidents come in. A 10th comes back in for Josh Anderson. He'll be happy about that. They make their runs down into turn number 1. Once again, 1, 2, and 3. And still Castrolado unable to get past Matt Backen, but we're not surprised about that, as it's going to be a case of a little bit too heavy on the curb through 1, through Kaida Sawyer. Here's the chance now for Johan Harth. Pick up the run through turn 3, and maybe turn 4 for the Frenchman. Might just be the place you start looking, you start hoping. You can see he's tucked up underneath. And look at that, oh, across the beams, why don't you? This is a little dangerous. Outside line looking then for Johan Harth as he wants 7th position. Oh no, there's contact, both of them take to the gravel. Danbeat gets 2 for the price of 1, as will Lafuente. Cookies, that's theirs.
Yeah, that's pretty frustrating for Kurosoya. He tried to keep his line, but obviously in those big long corners where the rear likes to kick out, you know, your little micro correcting all the way around, and I don't think that Johan gave him just quite enough room. As we see the replay here, it'll show us exactly what happened when we were on board with Johan Harth. Yeah, see, Kurosoya has just absolutely, he's tried to gas it up to get in front of him, because if Johan Harth was on the outside and stayed on the outside, he'd be on the inside for that next corner, which off the grip line, that is an absolutely awful corner to navigate.
Well, still fighting with Lafuente here as they go through these corners, and Lafuente's gone far too deep. You've left the door open, Danny boy, and there tries Johan Harth to go through. AAA versus Apex, and it is Apex who gets it, but look at this from Lafuente. He might dive for the final corner. Oh, he's going to try for the Valentino. He tries the Valentino. He's got it wrong. He slides it into the gravel. He's done well to save it there, though. And that was some brilliant racing. It just doesn't work. And Giassi now, from what was nearly 2 positions for Lafuente, he's got none. And now Giassi trying to find a way through here as we start the final lap of racing here at Barcelona. Can Lafuente hold on to this position for the moment? Yes, he can into 1. Yes, he can. It's turn number 2, but the pack is closing now. Down in behind him. Castrolado not close enough to make the move on Matt Backham on the battle for the podium at this point in time. He's looking. I think he does want that podium. He does want those points, but at the moment, he's just not finding it. Behind that, still Lafuente was able to hold that position over Jeff Giassi, but you won't be too bothered about that for the moment. This is the fight for the final spot inside of the top 10 as they head into turn number 5. No worries for them at the moment. Ericsson will still need to try and find a way. Plus Ivo Howler behind that as well. The pack is completely splintered from the middle as they make their way. The leading 2, they are Josh Anderson, Maran Cholak, here as they head into the final complex, the final sector of this race. You talk about what happened at the start. It was all about who got the best start. The run to turn 1 was pretty decisive. Anderson bogged down when he didn't want it. Cholak got the lead, and Cholak has shown his pace here today. He has just slowly whittled away and worked on picking up a 10th at a time. And sometimes that's all you need when you come to race. Final corner for Maran Cholak who says second half of the season, it is all mine, as he crosses the start-finish line and wins here in Barcelona. Anderson will take second, Matt Backham will sort the podium. No changes of position then for the latter stages of this field. It was a solid race throughout from Cholak. He broke the competition by sheer willpower.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. Marin Cholak coming off the line, he was 3/10 down in quali. It didn't matter at all. He got a brilliant start. He was able to take away the lead from Josh W. Anderson by the time we got into turn one, and he just checked out. He did, even though it's a second, I don't think Anderson ever really had a chance of catching him unless Marin Cholak started to drop off, maybe 0.1, 0.2 a lap from about lap 9. So as we see a massive skid down the back straight, that's Summernats.
Yeah, you can see very, very excited drivers. You get official classified results then up on your screen for you. It was victory in the end for Marin Cholak. It took him 26 minutes and 23 seconds, but the margin was 0.7 of a second overall ahead of Josh Anderson. He did slow down over the line to weave and celebrate. Matt Backham finishes off in third with Ricardo Castroledo fourth, and Sindre Setsource managing himself at a top 5, exactly where he started. Up 5 positions was Gianni Vecchio to finish himself up in 6th place, with Christopher Danbeat picking up 2 positions late, jump himself into 7th, with Matti Kaida-Sawyer in 8th and Johan Haaf in 9th. The top 10 rounded out by your biggest mover and shaker in the field. That was Daniel Lafuente. He gained 6 places here today, and he'll be happy with the fact that he got a top 10 from a very poor qualifying.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. So he recovered really well. Jeff Giassi, in the end, he ended up getting 11th place after a nice few passes that we saw on stream earlier. Ivo Howler, he's in 12th. Kim Eriksson in 13th for Black Star. Alexander Thebe, after maybe a bit of a disastrous race for him, he gets 14th. Joni Takinen, he's in 15th. Old Pete, he almost retired in 16th. Yao Vaz in 17th. Alexander Lauritzen and Carl E. Jansen unfortunately did pull over and exit stage left, really, Sperry.
Yeah, they certainly did exit stage left, but sometimes it's not really worth fighting for 10 points or 20 points or however many you get for those lower positions when you're talking about 350, 400 plus for a race victory. Josh Anderson joins us here in the commentary box. He got 2nd position overall. Well, Josh, let's talk qualifying first and foremost, because you blitzed everyone.
Yeah, it was pretty good. The warm-up, as we all know, is pretty imperative in getting a good lap, so I just had to make sure I did what I practiced. The lap was actually not that great. There was probably a 10th or 2 in it, but it was enough, so it was good. Yeah.
Well, you can be very happy with qualifying, but let's talk about what happened at the race. It seemed like it was always going to be a case of who could get it done into turn number 1. You were always fighting 10th for 10th throughout the field, but a poor start today. Do you feel like if that start had gone your way, that victory would have been yours? Because it seemed like the moment Cholak got himself in front, he was intent of breaking a second.
Yeah, it's almost like Formula 1. I don't know it never used to be like this with the dirty air, but it was really hard to get anywhere within about 8/10 of Cholak, so I just had massive understeer in the high-speed corners, so that's disappointing. It's my own fault. I screwed up the start, which I need to work harder on. There's no one else I can blame but for myself for that, so it's disappointing because obviously I'm a competitive person, and I think anyone thinks when you're starting on pole you should convert, and I didn't convert today, so that's disappointing, but I still got decent points, and P2, which is not too bad.
Yeah, P2's fantastic. P6 coming into today, a massive points haul, 350 points and plus coming out of this one. It's a very similar style of track in terms of difficult to overtake. It's Brands Hatch in a week's time. So how does Brands Hatch compare in terms of the way that you've run here at Barcelona, where you got the big long straight for the advantage here down towards turn number 1, compared to a track which is very, very technical and requires all of the accuracy required?
Well, it's actually going to be quite similar because this car doesn't really draft up that well, even though you do get a lot of push from the car in front just with the dirty air. So even like the straight, I barely caught anything. So I think the racing is going to be pretty similar, pretty processional at Brands. Luckily for me, I will be attending the Bathurst 12 Hour, so I won't be able to race next week, which is good because I'm not a fan of Brands. But I think the week after is into Lagos, and I quite like that track. So we'll see what happens then.
Well, that is very, very true. We will be heading to Autodromo Jose Carlos Pace in 2 weeks' time, so we'll hopefully see you there. But before we let you go, Josh, shout out sponsors. Who gets it done?
Yeah, everyone at Logitech G Aldous Esports, and especially Dan Morin in second split. He's insanely fast. Unlucky he didn't get too lucky today's race, but he'll be in the next one. And he worked super hard on the setup for this week, which was obviously quite good. So shout out to him. Thank you.
Well, Josh.
Yeah,
well,
thank
happy
you.
birthday as well.
Happy birthday,
pretty good.
Ando. I'll have
Thanks,
to
Ben.
give you a VB on Thursday when I see you at the 12-hour.
Yeah, I'll hit the green grenades for sure. Cheers.
Well,
Thank
all,
you.
all fun and dancing then for Josh Anderson as he picks himself up into a very nice position here today. Second place on his birthday. That's not a bad gift, David, but one thing that is going to be interesting, though, is how these drivers all fare out in a week's time. Brands Hatch, quite similar in terms of a style of circuit. It is another heritage track, some may say, in terms of where motorsport has been, what it has done. And when you talk about British sim racing and British racing in general, Brands Hatch traditionally is a curtain closer. So very much it is all about, can you get yourself side by side around a track like Brands Hatch? It is one of those circuits as well, which often does fly under the radar for how pivotal it can be as a circuit.
Yeah, that's right. There's really minimal passing zones at Brands Hatch, and where they are, you have to get a monumental run to make it work. So, you know, turn 1, turn 3, and one of the last turns on the circuit, that's really where it's going to get done. So it might be just foul and follow insert and Constantina around, but you know what these guys are like. We saw them, what they're like today. Catalunya isn't really a passing track, and we saw a lot of.
We saw a fair bit of passing, you're absolutely right there, and that is going to be where we bring proceedings to a close here this evening on the iRacing Esports Network. A massive thanks, though, to everyone who's got it done behind the scenes, especially to Motum Simulations, who have helped sponsor the replays for us here today. But, of course, Jay Kennedy has been fantastic on the cameras for us, as always. Of course, David Sanford's been there on my right-hand side. I have been Jake Sperry. You have to say, though, it was Maran Cholak. Mystic Maran, some will say. Sometimes his pace, well, it does disappear from time to time, but days like today is the first time I've truly seen a Maran Cholak who's gone out there and raced the perfect race. It's been a long time coming. A lot's been expected of him. And, of course, with the history and the heritage and the legacy that he's brought into sim racing as one of the first real-to-virtual translators, so to speak, he will be someone looking to try and pick up the second half of the season to work in his favour. Make sure you subscribe to the iRacing Esports Network, and we'll see you in 1 week's time at the Brands Hatch circuit. We'll see you right then.
This is fantastic. This is GT racing right now.
He's got traction, he's got rid of the outside of both of them! Maloney!
Oh, he's taken Anderson. Anderson's up top.
Oh my god! Oh! Big crash! Oh my goodness, half the field's gonna get rolled!
Second very close. These guys are want to make their way through the field very quickly.
Oh, here we go!
Oh no! That's massive! This is it! This is over! I can't believe this! Oh my god!
God, what?